Cowboy Nation, what is happening? Live and in living color, we bring to you the Noise for Boys podcast, a Dallas Cowboys Homer exclusive from the studio at HQ1. I'm your co-host, color commentator Matt Longoria, and with me, as always, my right-hand dude sitting to my left, Uncle C. Tom.
What's up, everybody? Matt and I are just two true blue over-the-top diehard fanatics that come together to make some noise about the boys. So let's get into it. How are we feeling today, bro?
A lot better than I was last night, I can tell you that much. That was one of those L's you simply need to take a nap after because it's just way too much to digest. The feeling that I can compare that to, and I kid you not, ladies and gentlemen, I have been on the stand on trial before. The feeling afterwards is what's comparable to the feeling I experienced after the game and all throughout the game last night for 4 long hours.
Yeah, that was definitely rough. That very reminiscent of the Denver game. Had a hard time trying to digest that one. Like you said, that was one of those games where it's like kind of have a hard time fathoming, if that's a word, what exactly is happening. I had a hard time digesting this one. I woke up today and I simply just did not want to go to work at all. So that was rough, man. It was a rough loss. After, taking it in and getting a second to kind of realize what happened, and really just when you're in this kind of situation, you have to consider the entire season and you have to consider everything and put it in perspective. And so it sucks, but it's time to put up or shut up, basically.
I concur. While it is one of those games that doesn't necessarily do a whole lot for the schedule and affect us, something that's not too impactful in terms of where we fall in the rankings and in the standings, I will say that having been so confident in this team going into the game, it was definitely a heartbreaker, but a takeaway that I can put in, we'll call it a plus. This is definitely a game that will set the tone for the playoffs. I think the Cowboys ought to learn from something like this and can take it with them into the playoffs, realize the kind of atmosphere that they're in, and they know what to expect and what they're up against moving forward.
Yeah, as far as, the reason this one hurt so bad, because you were expecting a lot. You were kind of hoping that this Dallas team would come out, and you were hoping that they would come out and that they would play well and they would put on a show. That's not the offense that we've seen this season, so that was really, really hard to watch. Everybody on offense, just in general, played terrible. And so when your defense is playing that well, it really sucks to see an offense as loaded as yours. And I know we had some people missing and everything, but to see an offense that's that loaded not be able to get a single touchdown in that game, very disappointing. And just to kind of piggyback off of what you said about, this could a lot of people could have picked this to be a Super Bowl. So it was a disappointing game all around. Wasn't exactly the shootout that everybody was hoping for, and so just a disappointing outing for the Cowboys.
Going into it, you definitely think that Dallas is going to perform the same way they did against Atlanta. But I was proponent for this. I said that Dak Prescott needed to stay inside himself. From the very first throw, you could kind of tell like something was off. And I know I hit this over the head when we were together watching this game, but from that first throw, you see Gallup get wide open and you expect Dak to hit him just like he always does. But in this instance, Dak misses him. And you could kind of see it in Dak's eyes. I'm not saying that he wasn't ready for this game, but I don't know if he was necessarily ready for the atmosphere. And I think that atmosphere and that crowd played a big part in getting into Dak's head and showing that he is human.
Yeah, I agree to an extent. I think that I think it was more than just Dak, though. I thought that if the offensive line had played a lot better, then I think if the offensive line showed up and played better, then you would have seen Dak play a lot better. This guy was under duress literally the entire game, like literally. But that doesn't excuse how poorly he played. You're right that throw to Gallup is something that you see him hit, or at least you've seen him hit over his last, I don't know, what is it, like 8 or 9 games, and he just overthrew him. And then one that's a little bit kind of overshadowed, and something that people don't really talk about is, I think it was the second or third throw of the game. He throws it out wide to Michael Gallup on a screenplay, and he throws it high and behind him, and Michael Gallup's got to do this ridiculous athletic catch. Great hands by him.
Right.
Ended up getting him slammed into the grass. So you could just kind of see that something wasn't right from the get-go. So I definitely see what you're saying there.
Right, and another could make an argument that Kansas City's defense was just way more prepared than Dallas's offense, and you could almost say the same thing vice versa. Dallas's defense came out to play and were ready to contain Pat Mahomes and do their job, and we'll definitely get into that. But what I'd like to do is get right into the winners and losers, the people on both sides of the football that stood out to you and that basically were determining factors into the overall game.
Do I have to pick a winner on offense?
Negative. The floor is yours. It's an open forum, so take it away.
I will pick literally just one winner from this game, and that one winner is going to be Micah Parsons. This dude continues to show up game after game after game, and when you watch him on the field, it's really hard to remember that this kid is a rookie. I mean, and I'm not very old myself, but I say kid because he really is a kid. Like I think he's 21, 22 years old. So he's got a lot of growth ahead of him. He's obviously got a ton of potential. I think you can just wrap it up in the bag right now. He's got it in the bag that he's going to win Rookie of the Year. This dude is playing out of his mind. And when you look at the stats, man, like this kid, keep in mind that he's a linebacker, like a traditional linebacker. He's been put in position to play a lot more, hand in the dirt and rush the ball this season because of the injuries to Lawrence and Randy being in and out of the lineup, Randy Gregory being in and out of the lineup. But this guy is 10th in sacks in the league. Like that says something. He's a rookie. And then, he had 2 more this game. And he did a lot of things, Michael Parsons did. He did a lot of things that don't necessarily show up in the stat sheet. I felt like it was almost every play, it seemed like he was kind of winning his matchup. So I got Michael Parsons as my winner from the game. And if you wanted to give more defensive players as a winner, you could. Like Donovan Wilson was flying around. He had a really nice pass breakup. At some point in the game on Tyreek Hill. It was a diving play. And again, I think it was Micah Parsons that actually disrupted that play. So other guys are going to be a byproduct in success because of the way that Parsons is playing right now.
Right. I think that he was the key contributor in terms of the success of the defense. I am glad that you brought up Donovan Wilson because that's who my winner was going to go to. But I think it's better to say that he's a byproduct of Micah Parsons' production. That being said, not a whole lot of other players to discuss in terms of the winning column. You want to go over to the other side and talk about Kansas City's winners?
Kansas City's winners, if you're talking about overall the entire team, Chris Jones is going to be the big one. I think that Frank Clark had a few nice plays as well, but obviously Chris Jones had clearly hands down the best game of his season this year. I think someone said on Twitter somewhere that he matched his sack total or he passed it or something like that. Like this guy was just playing out of his mind, and I think that the most impressive thing that Chris Jones did was he made Zach Martin look stupid. And I won't say stupid, but made him look really silly on a few plays. And if you know how awesome and how great Zach Martin is, he's probably going to be first ballot Hall of Famer. You know how impressive that is. So the fact that, they had guys making, primarily Chris Jones, making Zach Martin look like that. Man, just a tough outing for the Dallas offensive line. It seemed like every single play, even if they weren't, bringing the blitz, Kansas City, if they weren't bringing a blitz, still seemed like almost every single play they were getting some sort of pressure. And that just made things a living hell on our offense.
Yeah, absolutely. And there is no production from Chris Jones without one Steve Spagnuola. I definitely have him as a winner here in this game.
Absolutely.
The man just came prepared in a way that Dallas was not ready for, and in a way that I don't think anybody anticipated. You take a look at this team, you can call them or categorize them as a middle of the pack defense. They look like the Kansas City Chiefs last night. And here's the problem that I have with the Cowboys' performance is Pat Mahomes wasn't necessarily the reason why they won this game.
I wouldn't say he was a reason at all, honestly. I thought he played pretty poorly.
Exactly. I mean, we pressured him. We did exactly. The game plan was to contain him. We did exactly that. We got back there, I want to say 3 or 4 times.
I think it was 3. I think Dorrance Armstrong had 1 and Micah had 2. I may be forgetting somebody.
Put him in the dirt, put him under duress. I mean, if you think about it, there was really no impact after the first quarter. I mean, they had their 16th point going into the second, and then they only went on to score another 3. If your offense goes to work, if your offense shows up to be productive, there's no reason the Cowboys don't win this game. And that's why it's very, very infuriating. And you could tell just by looking at this team, this offense was not prepared. Very, very frustrating as a fan to watch. You could just feel their energy or lack thereof from the very first possession, to the point where even you were calling the Cowboys' second possession, where Dak ended up fumbling, a big drive in the first quarter.
Yeah. I mean, the way that they kind of started out, the way that the first quarter went, it kind of had that feel. It was like, man, we really need to get something generated here to kind of turn this around, especially after how horribly that first drive went. It's almost like, man, like this second drive, we need to come out here. We need to punch them in the mouth. We need to do something. I didn't feel like they didn't run the ball at all. I know they weren't getting incredible production or anything, but I just kind of feel like you saw it against Tampa Bay. There's ways to supplement the run game with short swing passes and screens. And even that, like this Kansas City secondary was just hunting everything down, absolutely everything. They were covering our guys with a blanket pretty much.
A big game that Kellen Moore can definitely take and learn from. Definitely, you don't want to take on the Jason Garrett mindset of stick with what we've got. I think that this is a game where he'll learn to take what the defense gives him. And in a case where we do really well at that, I feel like he just didn't have an answer for this defense, and whatever he may have thrown at them, they were just prepared for it. We'll see how they respond. Only 4 short days from that game to go right into another one.
That's the really scary thing is this team has played really poorly in 2 of their last 3 games, and they got another game in 4 days. So I think that the Cowboys will be fine. I think we're kind of getting to that point where it's time to change our expectations. I think a lot of Cowboys fans are really excited because we went on a 6-game win streak. We haven't done that in a while. I think it's time to change expectations, especially if they come out on Thanksgiving and they play poorly against the Raiders. I think that the Cowboys are a much better team than the Raiders. So if they come out and they put up a stinker or even lose just in general, that's going to be really tough to digest. And I think that at that point, you really have to start considering like, okay, this is a good team. Maybe this isn't the first or second or third best team in the league.
Sure. And while we do consider ourselves stone cold homers, I do have to tell you guys, we are not in a position to be making excuses for the Cowboys. That said, can we talk a little bit about the injuries that have really hindered the team as a whole on both sides of the football?
I think it's pretty clear what the biggest one was, and that's Amari Cooper. We've seen this team play really well without DeMarcus Lawrence, without Neville Gallimore. Seen this team play well without Randy Gregory because Micah Parsons can play defensive end. But every time, or I won't say every time, but when Amari is not there or Amari is not productive, you can see the impact that it has on our team. And even when Amari is on the field and he's not really producing, there's still so much attention that goes to him that it's kind of like, okay, he's out there and he's drawing attention. So that's opening things up for other guys. That's the effect that Zeke has. That's why I'm always been such a huge supporter of Zeke, even though he's not producing necessarily in terms of the stat sheet. He draws a lot of attention, and that opens things up for other guys. You saw that our receivers struggled. They were terrible in this game. You saw guys like Cedric Wilson that we've been raving about, like they're playing so well. Trade Michael Gallup. We don't need Michael Gallup. We saw why we need Michael Gallup this game. And even him didn't have the best game. But, 5 drops. I think the biggest loss isn't even Tyron Smith, even though some people will say yes because of all the pressure that they got on us. I think even if Tyron did play, it wouldn't have mattered. I think that side would have been sealed up a little bit more. But the biggest impact and the biggest loss is not having Amari Cooper. And we got to figure something out because we're not going to have him in 3 days.
And that's not to say we're not having issues on the offensive line. It's very evident. As much as Dak was on the run last night and getting his stuff slapped down, we need to do better on the offensive line. And it doesn't just start or end with Tyron Smith. Completely agree with you. But we got to figure something efficient out on that front. That being said, injuries have definitely hindered us in a lot of areas, but again, we're not here to make excuses. Defense set the offense up for success on a number of plays, ending the half and starting the second half. So let that sink in for just a moment. If the offense goes down and scores when Dak throws that pick in the end zone and ultimately CD goes out with a concussion, that puts us down 16-10 before the half.
Yeah, and that was such a huge play for Kansas City because the CD had his man beat. Like, if Dak throws a better ball, we've seen it all season. Like, that's
CD goes and gets it.
He's gonna go up. He's gonna grab it. It's maybe gonna be a touchdown. His guy was beat. I understand Dak was on the run as he was all night, so it's a tough ball to throw. But that's something we've seen Dak do, and you expect him to make that throw, as tough of a throw as it is. He did a throw on the run to win the game against New England, so like you said, no excuses. But that's a huge play for Kansas City because even if we get 3 there, I'm pretty sure it was almost a guaranteed 3, just about. Even if we get 3 there, that's going to change everything. Maybe not everything, but it does give us a little bit of momentum going into the half.
Right, and that is a play that Micah Parsons produced himself. Strip sack, fumble, recovery. We have a chance to cut it or shrink down the margin before the half, and then after the half, you have Curse with the INT as the Chiefs are driving down, looking like they're about to put it away for good. Gives us another chance. And yet again, we squander it away, the opportunity to shrink the margin and
yeah, exactly.
And swing the momentum.
And what's crazy about that is Kansas City's offense was doing just about everything that they could to help us win this game. They really were. We were making Mahomes uncomfortable. They were dropping balls too. We saw Josh Gordon drop one. The interception wasn't a takeaway. That was because it hit Travis Kelce in the chest and he fumbled it around, and then Curse made a great play on the ball, but that wasn't necessarily like one of those forced errors. It was kind of the offense kind of gave it to us, kind of like what we saw in Tampa Bay again. But they were not great by any stretch of the imagination. So you kind of just like imagine like, okay, at some point we're going to get this thing going. We're going to get some momentum, and it just never came about. And the defense did everything they could to help us. It's unfortunate.
And in a league where the Cowboys are top of the league with 34 or 33 points per game, well, we know that they average 30. Let's put it at that. We dropped 9. Okay, so this only strengthens my point. Hats off to Steve Spagnuola and his crew doing their thing, showing up to play and containing and ultimately stopping our offense. Didn't see the end zone a single time, not even as we would call it, a consolation touchdown.
And I'm glad that they didn't get that garbage time consolation touchdown, because I didn't want, at that point, I was sitting back pretty much like, oh my God, like I'm so ready for this game to be over. Like this is terrible. And we're driving and they're finally having a little bit of success on offense. And I was just like, I really don't want them to score because, that sounds really stupid, but it's like, I don't want them to score because I'm so tired of getting out of my seat and like, okay, like we had, like,
Right.
there's hope. There's hope. There was no hope in that game. That game was over on that last stretch. As soon as that ball got tipped and it got intercepted, that was the nail in the coffin. And I just kind of rolled my eyes and be like, thank God, this game is over. We can move on.
Yeah. Put us out of our misery, so to speak.
Yep. I kind of want to touch on the guard position a little bit. Left guard, they decided to go with Connor McGovern this game, and they got rid of Connor Williams for this game. So I just kind of wanted to know like what your thoughts were. Have you had a chance to look at the way that he played, and if you thought it was the right move? I'll say that it's hard to place the blame on one person in particular. But what I noticed the difference between Connor Williams and Connor McGovern is that Connor Williams, he wasn't terrible. And I thought that Connor Williams played somewhat well throughout the season. It just kind of felt like it was untimely penalties. And there was a lot of them. He was one of the most penalized guards in the league. But Connor McGovern, he was getting smacked silly. He stood no chance out there. So I'm interested to see. I'm sure that they'll give him another chance. I'm sure they'll be like, hey, everybody kind of played bad on the offensive line. We need to regroup. We need to rethink this. And let's give it another shot. I'm sure that's the approach they're going to take. I just thought it was kind of weird that they threw him into the fire without Tyron Smith in the game to kind of help seal up that left side. You got two guys playing on the left side of the line that don't really have a whole lot of experience. So it was kind of, I thought it was an interesting choice.
Right, I concur. I think that, I'm not sure how the decision making was made here. Okay, but in a world where you have someone that is very familiar on the left side like Williams, I think that he's the move, regardless of his untimely penalties. He's the more experienced guard. You have, he's more tenured there, so you can trust him a little more. You just can't trust him to not penalize this offense and set them back or shoot ourselves in the foot. But high risk, high reward, putting in McGovern. I'm not sure that they will roll with him next or in 2 or 3 days when we face Vegas, but we'll see. I mean, time will tell. I think it's
pretty clear that spot is a liability on this offensive line.
Now, we didn't touch on Tyron Smith. What is the prognosis for this man? I feel like he'll miss his half the season every year. What's going on with him?
Well, Tyron is just kind of one of those guys that going into the season, I'm just readily accepting the fact that he's not going to have a 16-game season. I don't know when the last time he had one was, honestly. Tyron Smith is an absolute beast. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. He's all of those things. But at the same time, we know that he's going to have injuries. So we just kind of have to expect that with Tyron. But when we do have him, we obviously see the impact he has. We see what kind of offensive line that we have when he's in the game. As far as his status goes, I thought that I heard he was going to play this game. So when I woke up and I got on Twitter like I do every single morning, I got on Twitter and saw that Tyron Smith wasn't playing. I was like, gotta be kidding me. Because that made me so much more nervous because we already knew that Amari Cooper wasn't going to play. I think that came out Saturday morning. So Sunday morning when you get hit with that double whammy and Tyron's not playing, it's like, oh God, like this is not going to go
If anything, it shows you what kind of impact guys like Amari Cooper, guys like CeeDee Lamb and Tyron Smith, the key that they are to this offense, man. We needed these people last night. As much as you're like, we can rely on our backups. We have, like we said, we were harping on Cedric Wilson and who's the other guy? Noah Brown. And Noah Brown has been really impressive this season. So all the receivers had drops. Nobody really played outstanding. Yeah, it's all very circumstantial, and it's really easy to harp on the guys that come in and make good plays against bad teams, and we'll just leave it at that.
My thing is, like, all Cowboys fans have been raving all season about, we look so great and we don't even have our main guys. So when we lose, don't be that guy. Don't be that guy on Twitter that's like, we didn't even have all of our pieces. It's like, no, you can't have it both ways. So don't be that guy, Cowboys Nation. We don't like that guy.
Be this guy, the guy that says, great win. We capitalized with our backups, but that does not discount the people that start. They're in the starting position. They're in the starting role for a reason. They belong there. And that shows here in games like this where we face big teams like Kansas City. I don't know how much of a difference it would have made had we had a healthy lineup, but that remains to be seen. Maybe we'll see Kansas City in the Super Bowl. Who knows?
I don't know. I'm so over the Super Bowl talk as well. Just simply because at this point, let's just win the division and see what we can do. That's what a rational Cowboys fan will do. That's what a rational Cowboys fan will say. We're not all crazy, despite some of the Cowboys fans out there that we all know. But a rational fan would say this loss really sucks. One, because we didn't have all of our pieces, and we know what we're capable of when we have them. And two, we don't really know what kind of, we don't really know if we're going to get another test, another test drive at a playoff team. When you play a team like Kansas City on the road, that was probably one of their biggest games. Like, Kansas City got up for that game, and obviously it showed on their defense. But we're not going to see another team like that. At least I don't think anybody on the rest of our schedule is like a Kansas City.
Right.
Just Arizona. Obviously, I don't want to discount Arizona at all, but that's at home. I mean, on the road, like the way that this is trending, the Cowboys are going to have to go on the road and play somebody. And so what they put out on the field against the Chiefs makes me nervous for the playoffs.
If it comes down to it, I'm looking at this next game on as we just really need to hang on and get a W here, and then ride the rest of the season into facing Arizona and see how we fare against them. I do believe at this point that so long as we can hang on Thursday, we'll be playing for seeding when it comes to Arizona.
Yeah, and I mean, hanging on is so funny because after the Falcons game, you would have been like, "Oh, we back. We're about to crush the Chiefs. We're about to crush the Raiders." So the fact that we're going up against the Raiders at home, and now it's just funny how narrative changes because of one game. But that's the NFL for you, I guess.
Yep. All right, and so what we're going to do is we're going to probably end off here. We're going to keep this one short and sweet. First episode, as you guys know. So that being said, lots of mistakes to learn from here in this one, Caleb. So I'm thinking we need to really focus in the days leading up to facing Las Vegas, who have shown to be a spotty team. What, in your opinion, do you think the Cowboys need to hone in on and correct sooner rather than later so that we're prepared?
So this is what I kind of, a silver lining is that we did lose our guys on really short notice. I think that moving forward, now that we're just going to put this game behind us, I think moving forward, we need to generate a game plan, in which I'm sure Mike McCarthy and Kellen Moore will be very, very good at. We need to generate a game plan that's going to be surrounded by expecting Tyron and Amari not to play. And if they do play, great, because they can adapt. They're professionals. But I think we need to come up with a game plan in case that they don't. And I'm pretty positive that Amari's not going to play. So we need to focus on a game plan that's going to put us in – it's going to set us up for success. And I think that an area that, we really need to make sure that everybody is locked in and focused in is going to be the offensive line.
Yep.
I think that if you're going to go with McGovern again, you want to make sure you're getting as many quality reps in practice as possible. I hope that these guys come out fired up after that. Dak in his press conference after the game said, "I'm not disappointed. I'm pissed off." And that's why I love this guy so much. Even though that at the end of the game, there was no chance of us coming back, he still fights. So I'm sure Dak will have these guys ready. I'm sure Mike McCarthy and Kellen Moore will do a better job of game planning. I don't want to be that guy making excuses, but like I said, we did lose some pretty key pieces to our team, in particular the offense, on very, very short notice. So that could be, a result for the lack of efficiency. But again, that kind of sounds like an excuse at the same time. So just make a game plan to make the running game more successful and make your offensive line more successful.
So there's no doubt in my mind that Dak Prescott is a man that responds. For me, I think Dak needs to work on himself. I really do. When it comes, and look, the guy's the leader of the team, and that's exactly why I say that. He needs to work on himself in high stakes situations. Let me explain what I mean when I say stay inside yourself. Forget about the surrounding blocks. Forget about the hurdles that are all around you. In this case, be the fans. Okay, this is a high stake game. Do what you do. All right, and in this instance, the throws that he needed to make, he just didn't make them. They were behind the guys or underthrown or what have you. And obviously he was under duress and under pressure. If Dak can stay inside himself, he'll be in better position to lead this team no matter where they're faltering in other aspects of the offense.
I don't believe that this game is a true representation of what this Dallas Cowboys team is going to be moving forward. Even if they come out and they stink it up against the Raiders, that'll be extremely disappointing, and it's going to make me really nervous about having to change my expectations like I kind of talked about earlier. This team is in the driver's seat to win the division, and that's the first thing that you have to overcome. That's the first thing that you have to accomplish is winning the division. We've got, I believe, 4 more divisional games coming up, so that's something to look forward to. For Cowboys fans, not the actual team, that's something to look forward to. There's a lot of upside. This is a tough stretch. It really is. Like this right in the area of Thanksgiving, this is always a really, really tough stretch for the Cowboys. I think it's 3 games and 12 games and like 4 games and like 19 days.
Right, and even the best teams that we've seen still struggle in this stretch. I mean, regardless of not if they win the games, they lose them. It's very clear the struggle that they're facing. It's a lot of games to fit in a short stretch.
Yeah, and you have the Chiefs 4 days later. You have the Raiders. That in itself is tough. And then you come off of the Raiders game. You have a little bit of time off. You get the weekend off, and then you come back and you prepare for the Saints, I believe, is the game after that. So after the Saints game, it's kind of it's a lot easier of a schedule, a lot less opponents that you have to be worried about besides Arizona. At that time, who knows? The division may be wrapped up, but Philly's looking good. So Cowboys fans, don't sleep on Philadelphia.
I think it's an important game moving into to show that we can learn from our mistakes and respond and be the team that everybody assumes that we are. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've made it this far, we would like to thank you for your time and attention and pray you took away something informative. But if I could have you take away one thing from the last 30 minutes, it's Cowboys all the way, baby. As always, it is our year, as it has been every year for the last 26 years. And with that, we are out of here. Uncle C. Tom and Matt Long turning in, and we will see each and every one of you for the pregame report. Peace.